Welcome to Worthy Ones, the video series where each and every week I share all my thoughts and opinions on the newest issue 1 comic books that I read for the current comic book weekend, deemed them worthy or not worthy. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content and you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, guys, go ahead and do so now. As always, we got about 7 books to talk about, but not all of them this week are new number ones. The first issue 2 comic book that we're talking about this week is Vanishing Point issue 2. Is this series still worthy to put on your pull list? Let's find out. This book is 32 pages for the price of $5. It's written by Mark Russell, and the art here is done by Ryan Alexander Tanner. He also does the lettering in this book, and this is an anthology book that has to deal with like science fiction and just horror. And the first issue was quite interesting, but I knew that this book was going to be quite different because when you see the cover of this, it's like the Jetsons, and you're kind of like, what? Like, what kind of dark and twisted storytelling do they have to tell with the Jetsons? Because when you watched the Jetsons when you were a kid, this was the family of tomorrow. Like, when you were a kid, you were like, wow, was this going to be the future? And as we fast forward, to today, it's not much is different, right? We don't have flying cars, we don't have cities in the clouds, and it's kind of like, oh wow. But you kind of get to see this little bit of a different take on these characters, right? But it was fun to see them because the artwork inside is very much familiar with the Jetsons. Their facial expressions are very much the same, very cartoony and whatnot. And you get to learn all the different characters. And of course, you learn about this one little boy who's supposed to be like Elroy from the Jetsons. And he has this little kid that's with him that he made friends with at school. And he wears this eye patch. And this kid is a little off. Like, he seems a little twisted and it's a little dark. And as you continue to read the issue more and more, you learn about, kind of like this kid on kind of like, he's going through so much pain right now, right? And as you continue to read, it gets more and more darker, and you will have to read it to find out what exactly happens. This book is so worthy. I absolutely loved it. Now, you're going to get a completely different story in the next issue, but as a second issue, if you wanted to read this just one and done, I definitely say go out and pick this up. Even the cover is absolutely awesome, as it's just like, it's all, tethered, and it's got prices on it. It's awesome, guys. I really like this book, and I like how it ends. I gave this one an A+. I love this one a lot better than the first issue. The second issue 2 that we're talking about is Dan Slott's Superman Unlimited issue 2. Is this one still worthy to be putting on your pull list? Well, it's 32 pages for the price of $5. Like I said, it's written by Dan Slott and the art is done by Raphael Albuquerque. The artwork is fine. I thought that the artwork may have been a little bit better this time around than the last issue. That's just my personal preference here. This guy who is the creeper in this book, his facial expression looks hysterical. And when you get to see Superman in action, he looks pretty cool. The color tones in this book reminds you of a Silver Age book. Now, the one thing that I was confused on in this comic, and you guys let me know in the comments section below. It states in the beginning that it's Metropolis and it's June of 1938. Now, is this June 1938 when the Daily Planet was established? And over the years, the Daily Planet has gone more global in Dan Slott's eyes? Or does this take place in 1938? Which I don't think it does, because you get introduced to the Watchtower. They talk about video games in here. There's video game references. So if you had an understanding of where this takes place in the timeline, just let me know in the comments below. But this does play off of that first issue as you wind up getting to see the kryptonite asteroid actually come to Earth, and now the resources on Earth, and you have this particular person that has this city of kryptonite, and he has his own kryptonite guards and his own currency, and so he's in charge of that place. And then you wind up getting to see Superman in this gold form. And we learn that in this issue that Superman is impenetrable to kryptonite for a short form of time. He can't stop him no matter what. But what happens is it depletes him completely of all his powers, which makes him vulnerable. So if someone finds out that he is vulnerable completely, people are going to take advantage of that and kick the crap out of him. And we already find out that just some normal Joe Schmo figures that out. That's a podcaster right from the start, which I found was a little, off-taking. You do get introduced to, again, the Creeper in this comic book, which was kind of cool as well. So I do deem this book worthy. I'm not sure how I quite feel with the Superman's gold powers yet and him being vulnerable. I kind of thought we dealt with this a little bit in the past, but nevertheless, I like kind of that Silver Age vibe that goes into it also. And the Toyman is involved in this going in the future too. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. It's definitely a different take, and I give Dan Slott a little bit more credit for trying to think outside of the box here a bit. So again, it's still yet to be determined if I will continue this book on the long term. I need to read more. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one a B-. I liked it. It was a little bit, I don't know, the storytelling was a little bit disjointed at times, like it cut into different places, but it's all right. We'll see where it goes. And the final second issue that we're going to talk about this week on Worthy Ones is Exquisite Corpses issue 2. Is this just as worthy as issue 1? Do you continue to put it on your pull list? Find out. 32 pages for the price of $5. This one's written by Michael Walsh, and James Tynion is attached to this one. The artwork here is done by Marana and Ignazia. I probably said that wrong. The artwork is fine. It does what it needs to do, right? I do like how we do get some certain action scenes and different characters in this one. Is this guy, what is his name? The Congregation or something like that? I don't know, but he's a dude that walks around with like flesh around his body, and he just goes and like kills people with like razor blades and stuff. I mean, oh my gosh, it's absolutely creepy. And there's just this one scene in this comic book that you can see in a horror movie. Like, I was just like, oh, that is disgusting. And the guy that's behind the counter witnessing this thing, he's like beside himself. He doesn't know what to do. He's like curled up in the fetal position. It's just intense. But besides that one scene, we get to see things kind of rolling a little bit here. We got all the players introduced into the game, right? You saw that in the last issue, and now the game has started. They're all in the town. We get to see a groundskeeper watching the area, making sure people don't escape, and keeping eyes on, certain players and whatnot. And then you get to see like your overall other characters in here. And I guess they're introduced because you wind up getting to see the players of this game get attached to the side characters. So that was kind of interesting here. And one of the characters that was introduced in this issue that's with the side characters is the gamer kid, which I thought was kind of cool. And he starts going trick-or-treating with them. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe now that since the gamer kid is with the side characters, maybe he might last a little longer in this book. But yeah, you do get to see all the players on the field. You wind up getting to see the rich people that control the players from behind the scenes. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Squid Games, how you got to see the people watch all the players there. So that was kind of cool. The interactions between all the characters was fine as well. I did like the first issue a little bit better because you got introduced to all those players and it kind of got you really pumped up for the tournament at hand. And it looks like now it's going to be a little bit more of a slow burn until you get the all-out bloodbath. But this did whet the appetite a little bit with that one gory scene that I told you about. And I would like a little bit more character development. But nevertheless, this book remains worthy in my eyes. I really enjoyed this one. We do witness to see another player in the tournament defeated, and let's just say my guy is still in it, which is the gamer kid. So happy to say that this was a solid one. It wasn't an A+ this time around. I gave it an A-, and let's hope that the action continues and we get to see some bloodiness. And yeah, I like all that stuff. Finally, diving into some issue 1s this week, we're talking about Godzilla Vs Avengers issue 1. Now, I've read most of these, Godzilla books. And this time, we have the new Avengers that the Godzilla monsters are dealing with, right? And this is titled Round 5 versus the New Avengers. And this is part 5 of 6. So there's going to be one more where you get to see Godzilla vs. Thor. This one was 32 pages for the price of $5. And this one is written by David F. Walker. And when you get the artist in this one, the art is done by Georges Genti. The artwork is fine. You get to see, different panels of, your characters doing battle against like Fin Fang Foom and Godzilla. I thought the colors were fun. We get introduced to this new character, I guess. He's a kaiju monster robot fighter. His name is Jet Jaguar, which I didn't know who he was. And I was corrected in the comments section because I thought he was like Ultraman, but he definitely wasn't Ultraman, right? And, you do get to see some action in this comic book, but was the story worth it? This book, again, is like, a $5 comic book, and there's a lot of books to read out there. So when it comes to this comic book, we wind up seeing almost like a teacher yelling at its students type of storytelling, where we get Mariah Hill that is in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she sits the Avengers down and she's yelling at them because they're doing battle against Fin Fang Foom and Godzilla, and Jet Jaguar's involved, and there's a lot of damage in the city. And she's just yelling at them. And she's like, you're supposed to minimize casualties and damage and this and that. And then it's like you got the students in the classroom kind of just keeping it to themselves, but talking to the person next to them, like ragging on Maria Hill. And she's like, oh, this is horrible. She talks too loud. Or Wolverine, you smell. And Spider-Man's like, what is this helmet? And the only banter that I felt that made sense in the comic in here would be Spider-Man, analyzing the helmet and stuff like that. Otherwise, it was just kind of like nonsensical. Like, it's kind of pointless. Like, it's just like, okay, like, here we go. We just like did this pointless fight just so we can introduce this like Jet Jaguar character. Now, again, this is probably one of those comic books where you're not supposed to really take seriously. You're supposed to sit down, enjoy it, and read it. But I couldn't. This was just one of the ones where it was like, it almost tried a little bit too hard to try to be funny. And, again, the banter that was in there or the comedic relief only was funny to me with like Spider-Man. So it was weak. It was, in my eyes, not worth it. Especially when you have so many comic books that are coming out. Like, are you going to pick up, freaking Bring On the Bad Guys Doom, or are you going to pick up Godzilla vs. Avengers? Well, we're going to find that out in a few minutes. But this one, again, not worthy for me. And if I graded this one, I gave this one a D+, right? It wasn't like absolutely like the worst thing I ever read. Can you get some fun moments in this? Yes, but it's really a pointless read. Save your $5, buy something else. Buy Battle Beast. Buy Exquisite Corpses. Emma Frost, The White Queen, issue 1. So listen, there has been a lot of mutant issue 1s and miniseries just focusing on a particular character. There's been more now than ever has before, and a lot would argue saying X-Men characters are made to be on the team. That's kind of what makes them special, and they can't hold their own series. Well, most of these series have all been mini-series. There's a few that's ongoing, and again, it's a debatable topic, but does every mutant need their own series? I don't think so. This one is 32 pages, $5, written by Amy Chu. The art is done by Andrea DeVito, and the artwork is fine. Like, I like the way Emma looks in here. She looks very seductive, and that's kind of like the way you would want her to look, because she is that type of character. In fact, they focus on a boob shot right from the start. I'm like, what's going on there, right? But she looks great, and all the other characters look really well done too. We actually get a scene in here with the X-Men when they make their appearance in this comic, which was a lot of fun. This great 2-page spread, and I'm like, man, this 2-page spread is like the best like X-Men scene I've seen in months. It just felt X-Men to me, right? And this takes place in the days in X-Men. I think it was issue 138 or something like that. It's right when Emma Frost appeared. So it's a nostalgia trip. That's what happens in here. And we get to see again the early days of like the Hellfire Club, right? And you get to see like the initiations in there. We get to see the table. You get to see all that stuff. Sebastian Shaw. So in the beginning of this comic book, it was very like, I don't know, it was like almost boring. It was to the point where it was like, I don't want to read all this. Is this going to be the whole comic book? And we wind up seeing an intruder that invades Emma Frost's property. She captures him, and now you see the X-Men come and enter the building, and they're trying to get the mutant because Cerebro tracked them down, and they find out that Emma Frost has them, and that's kind of like the early introductions, right? And you get to see this big fight and all this other stuff, and it was really, really good. So I thought that this first issue was worthy. I enjoyed it. This is something that definitely deserves a second try. Is it the best issue or best comic I ever read? No, but Emma Frost was entertaining. It was cool to see the X-Men here, and it's cool to kind of get her to be like, or to see her like, we gotta go after the X-Men. It's just something that we don't see that much anymore. We don't see the classic villains go against the classic X-Men. It's always about the heroes facing the heroes, or the bad guys that became the heroes, you know? This was just a little bit more of a classic tale, and I could appreciate that. I gave this one a B-. I enjoyed it. We'll see where it goes. So this was the book that I predicted to be a sleeper pick, okay? This is titled Bring on the Bad Guys Doom Issue 1. Now this is basically solicited or told that this is all one-shots dealing with an overall villain that you might like, right? No, that's not the truth, and that's going to get a knock after I get done talking about it. And this is part 1 of 7, 32 pages, $5. This is the first appearance of a new character by the name of Sister Sorrow, and this one is written by Mark Guggenheim, and the art is done by Stefano Raphael. Now, the art in this book really makes this book, because when you read this, this gives you the vibe of old school Doom. Like, look at this. Even the way Guggenheim writes the character, it's old school, man. It's not this new stuff. I love the coloring in this comic as well. You kind of get to see, again, those eyes in Doctor Doom, you know, witnessing how menacing the character actually is and how evil he is, the scars around his eyes. Like, they really focus in on that, and that is really well done. We get to see the Sister Sorrow character where she looks like this, and we also get to see Mephisto in this character. He has a role to play in all this too, and this is the way he looks. So the artwork is phenomenal in this book, right? And what this book is about is really about this thing called the Soul Forge. And we wind up getting to see Mephisto have this possession of this thing, and if he gets all these souls or whatever the thing is, then obviously he can control the underworld, the overworld, whatever it is. And this Sister Sorrow character is kind of not working for him, but doing obviously like his bidding. And we just get to see Doctor Doom involved in the whole thing that is going on. And then in the next issue, it's going to tackle with another villain, but it still has to deal with this Soul Forge. So yes, it does deal with different villains, right? But it's considered a bunch of one-shots, and that can make it confusing for people because there is an overarching story here. I'm going to deem this book worthy. I really liked it. I like the artwork here, but again, you're going to miss the story if you didn't buy this one and say, oh, I want to read about Green Goblin. You're gonna kind of be lost because this introduced who that first character was, that new character, right? And the whole purpose of this book. So that's why this one gets a knock. I mean, if it was like a 1 of 7, then I would say, hey, this is a good little mini series, but you're going to be lost. They do this all the time as of late. They slap a number 1 on there and they get you to think, oh, this is a new number 1 or whatever the case. So they confuse the crap out of you, and I don't like that. The story itself was a B, right? And it's just that whole thing that ploy that they're doing just knocks it down a complete notch for me, because it's gonna keep people away from it, I think, personally. So again, overall fun story, great artwork, but it's gonna be confusing for people to follow. Krypto, the Last Dog of Krypton, issue 1. So when this was announced, this was a given for me. I am a animal lover, but more especially, I am a dog lover. I have had dogs my entire life, and I always am trying to think of like what the dog is thinking of, and just I feel for them because they can't always talk to you, and I was like, okay, I'm all over Krypto, right? So this one is 28 pages for the price of $4. It's written by Ryan North, and the art is done by Mike Norton. I love the artwork in this comic book. It's very soft. It's lighthearted. Obviously, you know, there's a puppy involved, and you know, the artist here really brings Krypto to life. Like, you got the tongue hanging out, and just, I love it, man. You get to see his lazy days on Krypton. And it was great seeing him being walking in the park. And you expect maybe this cutesy little story, but no, this story has a lot of depth in it. And I like where Ryan North was actually going, right? Because this does have to deal still with the destruction of Krypton in the comic book. And we get to see, you know, our parents here talking about how we need to escape the planet and get people off the planet and all that stuff that you've known from Krypton, right? And there's a great moment in here with, you know, baby Clark Kent with Krypto here. It's just so heartwarming. It brings a tear to your eye. And the whole thing is they were testing their rocket ships, and they put Krypto in this rocket ship. And we wind up getting to see kind of like what happens to him once he's launched. You know, does he make his way back to Krypton? Does he go somewhere else? And it brings a tear to my eye, man. I am a sucker for these like animal, you know, books, and it's just like, they're so important in people's lives. They're part of your family, you know? And when he lost his family, it's just, oh man, he's going out there and he's like, he's not sure if he's going to come back. And it's just so sad, right? And then at the end of it, you're left with this cliffhanger going, oh shit, right? And so this is a type of book where you just don't expect a lot of depth. You just expect it to be like a Jeff the Land Shark comic book, right? And it's not that. And it's really a story that has solid depth. This book was absolutely worthy to me, and I can't say enough about it. Again, that cliffhanger, you're gonna kind of be shocked about it, I think, and I gave this one an A+. This, I don't know if anything else is gonna beat this, just because it had a lot of heart in it, and maybe that's just me, but again, I really enjoyed it, guys. And there you have it. There are my thoughts on the newest issue 2s and issue 1s this week. Did you guys enjoy? And do you agree with my thoughts and opinions? Leave me all your comments down below. And guys, As of Monday, I will be out of town, but don't worry, I will have plenty of content for you to watch throughout the week. It's like this summer mini series where I talk about some of my history with comics and my favorite events and why I quit comics. So hopefully you guys will check that out starting on Monday. And guys, support those local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comic books so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.